Hello, today we will discuss stores management. Stores management is important both for operations and marketing people. In stores, there is a management for operational people and for marketing people. We will discuss store management in general. What are its objectives? What are its functions? What are the major duties of a stores manager? Then we will discuss retail stores manager, where the customers come and buy the product, that is also a store. Then we will discuss bonded warehouse or bonded stores, where the goods which are imported but the customs duty has not been paid. We will discuss everything in detail, and then we will discuss these things in class also. Store is a place where excess material is kept, which will be used as and when required. Loss of items, deterioration, obsolescence, and inadequacy of what is stored to what is needed are treated as part of life. Sometimes the items expire, sometimes the items are lost, sometimes the items becomes obsolete, or there is a shortage. These are all parts of life in the stores management. Store management is to receive material, to protect them while in storage from damage and unauthorized removal, to issue the material in the right quantities, at the right time, to the right place, and to provide these service promptly and at least cost. In the chain of internal customers and suppliers. Now, you know internal customers and internal suppliers. Suppose there is a 3-step in production. Step A, step B, step C. Step A is producing and passing on to the people, those who are in step B, process B. So the process A are suppliers and process B are internal customers. Now suppose there is another step, process 3, process C. Now this internal customers who are earlier in customers B, now they will become suppliers for process C. As a matter of fact, all functions of management are internal customers to stores. Customers as usual expect quality, cost and delivery from every supplier. Stores also have to deliver these customers' expectations. In the process of discharging this obligation, stores perform some activities that are functions of stores. What are the main objectives of the store? Minimizing cost of production through minimizing cost on materials. This is also your main objective of the material management. Maintaining the value of materials. Service to user departments. They should supply the goods whenever they are required by the departments. Establishing coordination with other departments. Advising materials managers. What are the major functions of the stores? Receipt, storage, retrieval, issue, records, housekeeping, control, surplus management, verification, interaction and coordination. Now I repeat again: receipt, storage, retrieval, issue, records, housekeeping, control, surplus, management, verification, interaction and coordination. We will discuss all these functions one by one. Receipt: an item of goods or materials that enters the organization always enters through the stores. Similarly, every item, unless specifically excluded, has to leave through the store. Store is the final account keeper of all materials. Material sent by any supplier after the security clearance comes to the stores. Stores check the document carried by the carrier, known as delivery challan, against the copy of the purchase order placed on the supplier by the organization. Once the adequacy is established and quantity is verified, the material is sent for testing for quality parameters. Sometimes quality control tests are elaborate and time consuming. If the policy of receipt is to unload the material subject to quality control acceptance, it is cleared for unloading. Unloaded material is kept on the hold if it is not yet cleared by the quality control department. If the material is rejected, it is sent back to the supplier after clear documentation. Once the unloaded material is approved by the quality control department as per the quality plan in the quality system, it is moved to a specific place in the store's layout. The material is so stored that it becomes easy to retrieve and issue subsequently. Storage should also ensure protection against deterioration, damage and pilferage. Detailed system is adopted for location and labeling of items while in storage. Storage plan is made keeping in mind: number 1, nature of the product, physical state, toxicity, inflammability and other hazards, volume and weight, heavy or light, movement frequency, fast moving or slow moving, point of use, where it is going to be used. Retrieval: easy and quick retrievability of the items that are demanded by the internal customers. Easy identification: it should be available immediately. Maximum space utilization and minimum handling are key factors to retrieval functions. It is common knowledge in many of the companies that after hours of searching for the item is declared to be out of stock. This causes hold up of production process and avoidable urgent purchase of out of stock material. This function takes place as per established retrieval system. Issue: fulfilling customer demand for the item in minimum time. Department needs it immediately. Go to the department, get it. It should not take hours and hours. Keeping quality high and cost minimum is the issue. An internal customer does not pay the price, but he has to fulfill requirement of authorization for the demand. A duty authorized indent or requisition for the item is the key. The important job of stores or its personnel, like store managers, is to maintain the records of receipt and issue, updating the stock level as per movement of materials. Basic records of store are bin cards and stock register. Bin card is placed on the bin in which items are stored. This gives information about receipt, issue and balance. Stock register gives all information in the bin card and also the value. Main function of store is housekeeping. Housekeeping everybody shirks. Nobody wants to clean the stores. Maintenance of spick and span cleanliness in the store and ensuring principle of place for everything and everything in its place is fully implemented. Good housekeeping ensures satisfactory work practices. Most of the store failure is for not keeping good housekeeping. Items are placed at 6s and 7s. They are not placed properly. They are not secured properly. Cleanliness is the main purpose of housekeeping. Control. Taking measures to ensure material plan is being adhered to, that is control. Planning and control, they go side by side. Any changes in consumption pattern or replenishment pattern are closely monitored for corrective action. Material movement is watched to identify non-moving material for disposal. Effective control puts into effect management objective of no shortage, no excess. Next important function of store management is surplus management. Effective disposal system for unneeded material to reduce inventory cost and proactive measures to eliminate deterioration and obsolescence. Obsolete items are good in all respects but have no useful role in the company due to changes that have occurred in the course of time. The items like chemicals might have expired, or items have become obsolete due to technology or change in style, culture of the customers. Surplus items are those that have accumulated due to faulty planning, forecasting and purchasing. Hence, a usage value is associated with these items. Scrap is wasted. Scrap is wastage generated due to processes like turning, boring, drilling, etc. and also due to bad manufacturing. It is said that in India, nearly rupees 2,500 crores are tied up as obsolete, surplus and scrap items. Next important job is verification. Stop verification to eliminate gap between information and physical stock. In stores, some items are maintained as stock items. The stores triggers the procurement cycle for such items when a predetermined reorder level is reached. Hence, the correct stock position through verification is critical to ensure no shortage and no excess for the item. Most important part of store management is interaction and coordination. It is also the part of HR management. HR manager, store manager, production managers should sit together, interact and coordinate. Very close interaction between purchasing, production, quality control and engineering function is obviously needed in the discharge of functions discussed so far. It also becomes necessary to coordinate the flow of material samples and information through a network of departments for performance of store functions. Besides, every management function being an internal customer interaction is very important. There are two types of stores: centralized stores, decentralized stores. It is like one university having centralized library and decentralized libraries in each individual college or individual institute. Similarly, the factories, organizations, manufacturing units, they have centralized store and decentralized stores. Centralized or decentralized stores organizations. Centralized stores concept is to store all items at a central place and control material movement from the central place. Whereas the decentralization concept is moving the material to the respective consumer function or directly to the points of use. Here is an example of centralized store figure. There is a store office and all machine shops, heat treatment, molding and casting, fitting shops, they are around the stores. Features of centralized organization: effective supervision and control, issue at a single point reduces cost of issue, reduced personal requirement, efficient layout for stores, better handling technology, better inventory checks, maintenance of optimum stores, elaborate documentation. Advantages of centralized store: the variety of goods can be supplied to all users from one small location. Less manpower will be required. Better control of materials is possible. Material handling will be easy. Wastage and deterioration of materials will be less. Disadvantages of centralized store: it may not be suitable for large manufacturing concern. More staff will be required for shifting and transportation of materials to various production units. Record keeping is difficult because many units will withdraw from one store. Decentralized stores examples are like store for machine shop, separate store for molding and casting, separate store for fitting shop. Features of decentralized stores organizations can be reduced handling, customers friendly, fewer production stoppages, visual management is easier. Advantages: reduced material handling and associated cost, less chances of bottlenecks and delays, convenient for every department to draw materials, less transportation time. There are disadvantages of decentralized stores also. Coordination and control of all decentralized stores is a challenge to the management. How many stores managers, how many storekeepers, and then to control, and then the inventories. Labor utilization may suffer due to low store activity level. There are many types of storage. For instance, raw material store, it can be store for raw materials only. Component stores, work in process store can be different. Finished goods stores can be different. Semi-finished goods store can be different. Tools store, die crib, consumable material stores. As per nature of the materials, stores can be of further different types: LPG store, chemicals store, hazardous material store, refrigerated material store. As per the function of storage, there can be receiving store, there can be central store, there can be general stores, there can be sub stores. Stores layout: physical arrangement of storage facility for efficient receipt, storage and issue of materials is called as layout of stores. In a properly arranged store, material are properly maintained. It involves minimum of handling and optimum utilization of space. What are the factors which affect store's layout? Type of stock, volume of stock, availability of space, physical factors. Now gold may require very small place, but it needs stock properly secured. It has to be kept under safe. But if there are some items, manufacturing items which are in large quantity, people will keep it open. Volume. What is the volume of the stock? If the volume is very high, you'll have to keep it in very large warehouse. Then how much space is available with you? What are the physical factors? Store system. There are two systems: closed door system, open store system. The stored material is held under lock and key. Entry into the store is restricted, authorized persons only. Physical movement of the material is only with the authorized documents. Maximum security and tight control are the features of this system. Open store system. In this system, material is stored near the point of use and there is a restriction on consumption. Control passes on to the operations department. Let us talk now about retail stores. We have talked much about in the manufacturing sector, where the stores, warehouses are kept, what are their functions. But retail stores, like what you see in the malls or what you see in the bomb shop stores or kiosks, these stores, they have different roles. Here customers come, buy the product and pay. Pick up the product and then pay. So these stores have, in addition to 10 functions which we have discussed earlier, they have some additional functions where the customers can enter, customers can pick up the goods and then pay at the counter. Let us discuss these stores. Task performed at the store level: store administration and management of premises. Same function as in the normal general store functions like receiving, but here you have to display the goods, you have to provide customers shopping experience, recording the sales, and then you have to manage the alliances and partnerships, those goods who are they are supplying and then they are selling. Say Everest Masala is supplying MDH Masala, they are supplying the packets and then customers are taking it up and paying it. So maintaining what is the left items left now, what are the items to be brought. So you have to maintain with the suppliers their alliances and you have to keep a partnership. Significant areas of retail operations: customer service and accommodation, retail selling process, store staffing and scheduling, retail floor and shelf management, stores administration and facility management, warehousing and supply chain management, loss, shrinkage prevention, POS or cashiering process, visual merchandising and displays. Areas of retail operation covered: checkout management, stores administrations and facility management, loss shrinkage prevention, visual merchandising and displays. Stores operating parameters: to evaluate day-to-day operations of the stores, dipstick parameters are used to measure retail performance. They enable retailers to find out health of specific area of operation. These parameters are customers' transactions, how many items customers have bought, what is the daily sale, what is the movement of customers, how they pay, stocks, which are the items which sell more, which are the items which sell less, stock space, how much space is required for each item, and how many employees you require for your store. Let us see few ratios or operating parameters which may help you to see the performance of your stores. First ratio is customer conversion ratio. This is equal to number of transactions divided by customer traffic into 100. This reflects retailers' ability to turn potential customers into buyers. We see many customers, they come for window shopping, they do not buy. Now we have to see how many of them come and buy the products. The next ratio is returns to net sales. Total returns and allowances divided by net sales into 100. This reflects customers' satisfaction by showing value of returned goods and allowances as percentage of net sales. How many goods are returned, how many allowances are made. This ratio helps to see what is the actual sales of your store. Next important parameter or ratio is transactions per hour. Number of transactions, number of hours. This helps retailers to keep track of the number of transactions they carry out per hour, day, week, or a season. Sales per transaction. Net sales divided by number of transactions. This measure gives the rupee value of average sales, net of returns and allowances. Stores operating parameters: stocks, average selling price, total value of goods sold divided by total quantity sold, average stock price, total value of goods in stock divided by total quantity in stock, stock turnover divided by inventory turnover ratio, net sales divided by average retail value of inventory, percentage inventory carrying cost, inventory carrying cost divided by net sales into 100. Gross margin return on inventory, gross margin divided by average value of inventory, markdown goods percentage, net sales at markdown divided by total net sales into 100, shrinkage to net sales, actual inventory minus booked inventory divided by net sales into 100. This will help you how much inventory is lost or how many goods have been stolen or there is a shoplifting. Occupancy cost per square feet selling space. Occupancy cost divided by square feet of selling space. Whether you have taken more space for your retail store or whether there is a less space, this ratio will help you to what is the actual cost and what is the square feet of selling space. This ratio will help you to decide about the space. Sales per square feet, net sales divided by square feet of selling space. Stock per square feet, net stocks divided by square feet of selling space. Percentage of selling space in square feet divided by total space in square feet into 100. Net sales per full-time employee, net sales divided by total number of full-time employees, space covered, customers saved per full-time employee, total retailing space divided by number of customers served divided by total number of full-time employees. Labor productivity, total labor cost divided by net sales into 100. Gross margin per full-time employee, total gross margin divided by total number of full-time employees. Suppliers quantity or value purchased per buyer, total suppliers quantity or value purchased divided by total number of buyers. Many traditional methods to manage your cash. When the customers have picked up the items from the shelf, now they are to make the payment at the counter, and the counter is managed by a cashier. He is to manage the cash and receive your cash. Minimum cash at the cash counter is expected. Cash balance to be updated by computer. The person who is receiving the cash, cashier, he should have little bit IT skill management, and somebody should keep a watch on the cashier from a distance. The cashier has no authority to cancel the order, and cashier should have enough cash or change, chiller, so that customers should be given money. Now this is a manual system. Nowadays there is no traditional cashier like management payout system. There are many new methods which you might have seen at the malls these days. Let us see what are these new methods. First modern method is checkout management. We use Cash Register Express. Cash Register Express or CRE is a cost-effective computerized cash register that keeps your inventory costs down, reduces theft, and makes more money. CRE is a window-based payout system exclusively for retail and video stores. It is easy to use. Fast lookups by barcode or name, built-in help system, barcode ready, credit card processing with IC verification, built-in backup, salesperson tracking time clock, handles multiple clerks, handles multiple cash drawers, and there is a password protection. The next method is radio frequency identification, RFID, short for radio frequency identification, a technology similar in theory to barcode identification. With RFID, the electromagnetic or electrostatic coupling in RF portion of the electromagnetic spectrum is used to transmit signals. An RFID system consists of an antenna and a transceiver which read the radio frequency and transfer the information to a processing device, and a transponder or tag, which is an integrated circuit containing the RF circuitry and information to be transmitted. Used for inventory management, IT asset tracking, race timing, passports, mobile payments, transportations and logistics, animal identification, museums, libraries, etc. What is the difference between RFID and barcode? It has each individual product a unique number, whereas barcode labels have the same serial number for all identical items. More than one RFID tag can be read at a time and can be read from quite long distance from the reader. whereas barcodes can be read just one time for each time and have a low reading distance from the reader. Barcodes have fixed numbers and each figure does not necessarily write to the computer when scanned if the computer loses this figure. Silicon chips make the RFID system much more flexible to be reprogrammed when necessary. Benefits of RFID: for instance, Walmart stores manage to save $600 million annually by applying an RFID system. A recent study at Walmart stores shows that RFID system is more successful in replenishing out of stocks by 63% than stores with RFID. Furthermore, it emphasizes the fact that there was a reduction in out of stock by 16% in this period. Also, the study shows important profit on investment by increasing the sales made. Increased focus on selling, it can reduce the waiting time of shoppers inside a shopping queue and allow goods to be checked immediately and automatically. RFID tags can also be used to fight counterfeiting. Traditional production devices such as holograms and chemical tags are now being copied by counterfeiters. The counterfeiting business makes up 5 to 7% of world trade and costs retailers more than 500 billion euros a year. GlaxoSmith is tagging some drugs like Tresievir to reduce fraud. The smart tags allow retailers to monitor products' availability on the retail shelf, especially during high selling seasons. Perishable products, because the retail shelf space is limited. RFID tags assist the retailers by enabling smart inventory management between the retail shelf and backroom stock. In addition, RFID tags are useful for retailers with smart shelves that have inbuilt RFID scanners to organize the products that are placed on the wrong shelf as well as satisfy customers' demands. But there are many challenges. The cost of tags can be a barrier to retailers in adopting RFID technology, particularly at the individual item level. But the costs are coming down. For example, in 2000, the price of tags cost from $1 to 100 based on the type of the tag. But in 2006, they cost from 20 cents to $20. Lack of internationally agreed RFID standards. However, in June 2004, EPC Global developed agreed protocols on type of tag that concentrated on read rate and frequency of tags. Privacy concerns from civil liberties groups. RFID could be used to allow retailers to gather information from customers. This kind of information allows the retailers to control the consumer's behavior. A security concern, for example, when RFID tag is designed to read at a distance of 1 feet, attackers have the ability to read this signal in the region of 100 feet. With the use of this special equipment, solution for this is in attempting to kill the tag. A simple solution can be making a small change in the information that is on the tag. Wrong billing of some previously purchased items can also be a concern. Stores administration and facilities management. It includes cleanliness of stores. Many stores fail because this issue is not resolved. Maintenance of stores, facades and displays. Timekeeping of staff, required permission and licenses, health and safety norms, store security and insurance. These are the parts of the administration. Now, whatever we are learning in retail stores management is the main job of marketeers, retail management people. However, many operation students, they are placed in malls these days, and they control the operations of the retail stores, so they will also have to learn all these things. This may not be directly in your syllabus, but indirectly you should know if you are to work in the malls. Stores administration and facilities and management licenses. A few things have been written for you. For instance, if you want to take the license, the registration certificate, you will have to go for under Shops and Establishment Act. Issuing authority is BMC Ward Office, and for retail format, supermarket, department store, this registration is required. Trade license, for instance, edible oil, ready-made ice cream, sweets and chocolates. Issuing authority is BMC Ward Office, and you will have to get the license for supermarket. Dairy license, that is issued by Public Health Department of BMC. For license for frozen items is issued by Market and Slaughter Department of BNC. If you are to get the license for rationing, for retail sales of pulses, food grains, sugars, etc., you will have to apply to the Department of Civil Supplies. License for weights and measures, you will have to apply to Inspector Weights and Measures. Central Sale Tax registration, you will have to apply to Sale Tax Office. VAT, Mumbai Sale Tax registration, you will have to apply to Sale Tax Office. Stores management, insurance, administration and facility management. Insurance is the main subject. Insurance against theft, fire, floods, riots, earthquake, etc. Policy to be carefully formalized to cover all potential risks. Insurance for three things: building and infrastructure, inventory, cash, in-store and banking. Usually what people steal. World over, health and beauty products are stolen all over the world. Jewelry and CD discs, compact discs, they are usual items of attraction of the thieves. They pick it up, especially the ladies. Category of thefts in India: people pick up chocolates, they steal cigarettes, they steal blades, because small items, just put it in the pocket. I have seen personally how people are using deos in the stores itself. Shrinkage prevention, internationally it is 0.6 to 1.5%. In India it is 0.7%. The proportion of shrinkage is there. So you can save. You are good, there is a better control, but you can further control. Ways to prevent shrinkage: personal monitoring by security personnel, cameras to monitor, use of source tagging. Small anti-theft labels are hidden inside a product or packaging by manufacturing. Shrinkage prevention by RFID. RFID provides improvement of security. The use of RFID tag to expensive items can provide an outlet with increased security and can drastically reduce shrinkage through theft. It also helps to do quick and exact inventory account for the items, and this significantly reduces the time and labor cost associated with inventory. RFID tags can alert security guards if a stock has been suddenly removed by the shoplifters. Furthermore, security can be enhanced through RFID readers that automatically charge items in a customer trolley to credit or debit card, thus reducing the theft when items are concealed. Visual merchandising or displays, that is very important in retail stores. How you keep the goods on the shelf, because they are called silent salesmen. They are not human beings, but they are shelf. When the goods are placed on the shelf, the customers are attracted to buy this. There is an art of suggestive selling by display and presentation. The details are read by marketing students. We are not going to discuss more details here. However, little bit of visual merchandising is shown here. The customer stickiness progression model is there. Suppose there are passerbys, then people, those who browse, they are 80%, and then the spenders are 40%, big spenders are 20%, and then sales transactions are there, and then there are approximately 15% loyal shoppers who buy the goods again, and your store turns out to be a profitable venture. This helps in visual merchandising helps in increasing your profits and increasing the sales and increasing the shoppers loyalty. Visual merchandising and displays role: planning the visual merchandising theme and creating displays, arranging props for displays, arranging displays, fixtures and lightings, setting up store before opening, working with floor plan and stores requirement, training personnel on sales floors to create display, organizing merchandising units such as racks and shelves. This is read mostly by the marketing people. However, operations people should also know it. Windows displays: exclusive windows, closed backdrop with a theme and seasonal motif. Open windows without backdrop and passerby can see interior of stores, for example apparels and related accessories. In-store displays: live display, live models used, for example kids camp in Bangalore using cartoon characters to attract kids. Marquee display, example Gillette March tree stalls at malls. Freestanding island displays inside the store at the entrance to announce new arrivals. Special offers: pantaloons, denims kept at entrance. Counter displays for jewelry and watches. Brand corners for display of exclusive brands or devoted space in shelves or gondolas. For instance, Arrows, examples Arrows, Zodiac at Shopper Stop. End cap displays at terminal sides of gondolas, both at entry and exit, used in bookstores. Cascade and waterfall displays for blazers, jackets, etc. Warehousing. Now, let us talk
supply
about
chain
bonded
management,
stores.
logistics are very important these days for operational people. Operation management is a vast subject. It is not simply related to production. There is a practice of storing the goods in the warehouse wherein the customs duty has not been paid. Government of India has given the provision under Customs Act that if you are unable to pay customs duty now, you can pay customs duty afterward, and you can store the imported goods in a warehouse and you can pay customs duty later on. But you will have to file a bond with the bond department of customs, where the bank guarantee will be given by your banker that if you are unable to pay customs duty later on, you will be fined, your duty will be recovered from your banker. Now, there are three types of warehouses.
The first type of warehouses is almost public warehouses or the warehouses operated by the port trust or private people, where it may take long time for inspection of goods. You have imported the goods have been not been examined, because examination may take time. It may be a special chemical, it may be a special electronic equipment. The appraising department may take time. So if you keep the goods in the docks area, the docks people, the port trust people, the port authorities will charge damages. And damages are sometimes very heavy in the docks area. So what you have to do, you have to remove the goods from the dock area and keep it in a private warehouse till the examination is over, and then you pay customs duty and clear the goods. Second type of warehouse is where your goods have been examined, duty has been calculated, everything has been done, but you wish to pay duty later on. Maybe you don't have money now, or maybe you want to have some financial planning. So what you will do, you will import the goods, get the goods examined, and after examination of goods, you will keep those goods in the bonded warehouse. Now these bonded warehouses are private as well as public. You will, if you want to have your own bonded warehouse, which is a very good business these days, in Belapur area or near Nhava Sheva area, many private companies, they have made their own godowns. These godowns are bonded. Private people also can have a bonded warehouse. Now to bond a warehouse, you will have to apply to the bond department of customs. Customs bond department will inspect your warehouse, whether it is fit for keeping the goods or not, whether it is properly secured or not, the windows are properly secured or not, there should not be any chance of fire, there should not be any chance of theft. Customs officers will visit the godown, they will inspect the godown, and when they are satisfied that everything is okay, then they will issue you one certificate under section 58 of Customs Act. Now this warehouse will have two keys or two locks. One lock and key will be with you, and one lock and key will be with the customs department. Now when the goods are imported, inspection is done, then your bill of entry, we will talk now after some time what is bill of entry, that goes to the bonded department. The in charge of bond department, assistant commissioner or deputy commissioner or additional commissioner, he will authorize you to keep the goods in the particular bonded warehouse. Customs department will take its own lock and you will have your own lock. Both of you will open it together and keep the goods inside, and then locks will be secured and keys will be taken respectively by custom department and you. Sometimes the goods are mortgaged or pledged with the banking department. Banks say we will give you the loan on the goods imported. So your goods are also now linked with the banks. So you will have three locks. One lock will be with the custom department, other locks will be of banks, and third will be your. Now whenever you want to keep the goods inside the godown, you will have to make arrangement that all the three parties or all the three people from bank, from customs and your representative should be there. And then you open the door, open the doors of the godown, keep the goods inside, lock them. And godowns have stack cards. Godowns have warehouse register where the entries are made in the register that this goods, now this is manual, there is no nothing digital. So goods are entered in the warehouse register. It is an entry register where the custom officer signs, you also sign, and the bill of entry number, everything is written. Now you have to take out the goods. When you have to take out the goods, you have to file a bill of entry. We will talk later on what is bill of entry. And this bill of entry is filed with the bond department. You pay the customs duties. After payment of customs duties, all the 2 or 3 parties who are involved in the with the lock system, they open the door. You make the entry in the register that this duty has been paid on, customs duty has been paid on these goods, and then the goods will be released. Then suppose there is a problem. Now there is a big issue, there is a big problem. Suppose the person who has imported the goods, he says that I will not use the goods in India. The goods which have been imported from abroad, they will be altered or some manufacturing process will take place on those goods. For instance, there is a cloth. I have imported cloth. I will stitch the cloth and I will export it. Now there is a process all over the world that when the goods are exported, the raw material should not be charged, that there should not be any customs duty on the imported items. The items which are imported, if they are to be used only in India or by the people here domestically, then and only then you will have to pay customs duty. But if the goods are to be exported, then the customs duty need not be paid. So then in that case, the person who has imported the goods, he will say, sir, I have imported the goods. Now I want to keep it in the godown and I will pay customs duty later on after 2 months, 3 months. Then I will manufacture it and then export it. After exporting, I will take the goods, I will take my custom duty back. So this cycle will take a longer time. It may take 6 months, 7 months. What should I do? I don't want to pay customs duty and I don't want to use the imported goods in India. So Government of India has made the provisions under Customs Act only that if you want to export the goods which you have imported, you can manufacture the goods in your godown, in your warehouse, in your store. So what does it mean? It means that you can import the goods, amend it, alter it, manufacture it, process it, and then export it. You need not pay customs duty. But the goods will have to be made under the supervision of customs officer. He may be present physically or may not be present physically, but it should be done under his supervision. Now this process is under section 65 of Customs Act 1962. Goods are imported, goods are kept in the godown, custom officer is present, goods are manufactured, altered, and then the shipping bill is filed with the customs department, and then the goods are exported. You need not pay customs duty. Now this warehousing process is a very technical process where customs department is involved, customs duty is involved, you as an exporter, you are involved. Now there is a big requirement of operational people who are well versed with all these warehousing systems, with the store system, bonded store system or bonded warehouse system, where the goods are manufactured in the godowns. This is very interesting, and all export oriented units, all manufacturing export houses or trading export houses, they are in demand of the people who know customs procedures as well as who know the warehousing and stores procedure. You can be one of the candidate for them if you learn section 58 and section 65, where in section 65 the goods are manufactured in bond. Now we will discuss what are the types of documents which are required for this purpose. For customs department, you will have to declare the goods when you are importing or when you are exporting. When the goods are imported, you declare your items in bill of entry. I repeat, bill of entry. This is also called BE, bill of entry. Now this should not be confused with bill of lading. Bill of lading is a kind of receipt issued by the shipping company when you send the goods abroad or you import the goods from abroad. This is a receipt by shipping company, that is bill of lading. But we are talking here is about bill of entry. Now bill of entry is a document where the goods are declared while importing. Here the name of the importer, name of the exporter, type of the goods, quantity of the goods, value of the goods, customs duty to be paid, all are written by the importers. When the goods are exported, the goods are to be declared at the time of export. The document wherein the goods are declared at the time of export is called shipping bill. Shipping bill has the name of the exporter, has the name of the importer, item which is being exported, its HSN number, its value, its FOB value, all are written in columns. And these documents are submitted to the customs department. When you import it, there are bill of entries for various. Earlier, there were many colors because everything was manual. Now EDI system is there, but in EDI system is process is same. Whatever earlier was done in manual system. In manual system, there were colors on the bill of entry. Suppose you want to clear the goods for home consumption, no warehousing, not taking anywhere else, simply white colored bill of entry where you declare the items, pay customs duty and take the goods home. Yellow bill of entry, when you want to keep the goods in the godown, in the warehouse without payment of duty. Then green bill of entry, this is also called ex-bonding bill of entry, where the goods are cleared after payment of duty from the godown. So for us, in manual system, still in many parts of India there is a manual system. There are three types of bill of entries: white bill of entry, yellow bill of entry, green bill of entry. Yellow bill of entry, when the goods are imported, duty is not paid but kept in the godown. Goods are kept in the godown for in-bonding. And green is when the duty is paid, and then the duty is after payment of duty, goods are cleared from the bonded warehouses. Now this may not be in your syllabus, but it is better for you to know what is customs procedures, what are the customs procedures regarding in bonding and manufacturing in bond and clearing the goods in bond and EOU. You may go and join any EOU. In that case, you will have to learn all these things in detail.